All right, today we're diving into a really wild business proposal. It claims it can solve this huge, empty skyscraper crisis we're seeing everywhere. And the big idea? Well, it's about turning these vacant buildings into giant cash printing billboards. So let's just start with the really provocative question at the heart of this whole pitch. I mean, what if the skin of a building, its empty facade, could actually make more money than all the rented offices inside? It sounds kind of nuts, right? Let's see exactly how they think they can pull this off.
Okay, so before we can really get our heads around their solution, we gotta understand the problem they're trying to solve. And look, according to this proposal, we're talking about nothing short of a global crisis here.
I mean, look at that. That's a pretty intense prediction, isn't it? The proposal is basically arguing that the age of the packed office tower, it's over. They're saying vacancy rates are about to just explode, creating this massive headache for building owners everywhere. So the big question is, why is this happening? Well, the proposal points to three key things. First up, you've got the remote work trend. That's not going anywhere. Then there's AI, which is starting to replace roles that used to fill up all those cubicles. And finally, because of those first two things, companies are just cutting back on their office space like crazy to save cash. It's like the perfect storm for landlords. Okay, so we've got this huge problem on the table, right? Now let's get to the solution that's being pitched. There's this company out of Vienna, OTTIMEDIA, and they think they can not only save these buildings, but actually make them more profitable than they ever were. So what is the plan here exactly? Well, essentially, they want to wrap these empty buildings in these gigantic, transparent, digital screens. I mean, just picture it. They're basically turning skyscrapers into TVs. And the idea is to use them for huge ad campaigns and, as we're about to see, for selling real estate itself.
So, the mission here really has two parts. First, it's about generating a totally new stream of income for building owners who are, bleeding money from empty floors. And second, they want to use these super visible screens as a powerful engine to sell properties way faster than ever before. It's a real 1-2 punch.
All right, so how does this actually work as a business? How do they make money? Let's break down their main revenue model, which is all about selling ad space on a pre-epic scale. Okay, to make this real, the proposal gives us a specific example. They claim that for a top-tier location, say in Mumbai, they'd charge an advertiser $200,000 for a full year of ads on one of these giant screens. Okay? Remember that number, 200 grand. And this is how they sell it to advertisers. They take their $200,000 Mumbai rate and they put it right next to the reported $24 million that a company like Google might pay for a spot in Times Square. The math is simple, right? They're claiming to offer prime ad space for 120 times less. That's a hook that's going to get some attention, for sure. Now, here's where the financial engine really gets going. The proposal says advertisers have to pay the entire year's fee up front, within 1 week. You could just imagine the cash flow, right? For just one single tower in Vienna, they're projecting they can bring in about $7.5 million in the first year alone. And their goal? To get that up to $30 million a year from that one building, just by signing up 120 clients. But this model is about more than just selling ads for soda and cars. This is where the whole thing expands into a tool for speeding up real estate sales, using the screens to market the very properties they're attached to. So if you're the building owner, what's in it for you? Well, the pitch is pretty darn good. You get a guaranteed base rent starting at 200 grand a year, and that goes up every year. You get a 20% commission on any advertisers you bring in, and the whole spectacle of it is designed to attract new tenants. But here's the ultimate claim. The ad money from the facade could eventually be more than all the rent money from the offices inside. Wild. Okay, and this brings us to their really unique sales pitch, which they've actually branded the psychological solution. Here's how it works. They create these short, 15-second video ads for a bunch of high-end properties. They blast those ads across these giant city center screens. A wealthy buyer sees them, calls an agent, and then in just one meeting, watches all the full-length videos. And the really bold claim here is that psychologically, the buyer will feel this urge to just pick one and buy it right there on the spot. It would completely slash the time it takes to close these big deals. All right, let's get to the bottom line, the investment. What are they asking for and what are they promising in return? And, you might want to brace yourself because the numbers they're throwing around are, well, let's just say they're astronomical. Just take a look at these revenue projections. And remember, this is for one single location. They're forecasting a start of 15 to 30 million bucks in year one, and then scaling that exponentially to almost $500 million from that one building by year 5. I mean, these aren't just ambitious projections, they're absolutely staggering. So, how can an investor get in on this? Well, the proposal outlines a few different levels. The entry-level buy-in, if you can call it that, is $420,000, and that gets you a 1% stake in the whole global company. And for the real high rollers, $9 million gets you a 24% stake. Now, think about it. If those revenue projections we just saw are even close to being right, that is a massive piece of a very, very large pie. Okay, now let's talk about the promised returns, because honestly, these are just eye-popping. For that initial $420,000 investment, the proposal projects a payout of up to $8.6 million in just 6 months. And after 2 years, they're forecasting that same stake could be worth over $34 million. It's just wow. And here it is, the big headline number that just makes you do a double take. The proposal straight up claims that investors can see returns of up to 3,000%. And they say this can happen in just a few months of operation, all thanks to that genius model of collecting all the ad money for the year upfront. And, just in case you thought they were maybe a little shy about their own idea, the proposal literally calls itself, and I have to quote this, the best, simplest, most profitable, unparalleled, and absolutely unattainable business model. So, yeah. They're not exactly underselling it, are they? And so, that brings us right back to the question we started with. This entire proposal really forces us to think about a future where the value of a skyscraper isn't about who's inside it, but about the message it can broadcast to the entire city outside it. I mean, could the skin of a building really become more valuable than what's inside? That's the multi-billion-dollar question this whole thing leaves you thinking about.